going to be talking about the tax delinquent property auction, right? So how to acquire properties from the tax auction sale. We're going to be talking about how to find pre-foreclosures, all the homes that are headed to foreclosure but hadn't gotten there yet. And then we're going to talk about a new, really important update in the mortgage industry that could really be a game changer for investors. So, for example, the minimum bid is $3,000, but the property is worth $50,000. You might tell yourself, hey, I'm willing to go all the way up to $25,000. Because when I buy it at 25, there's a $25,000 gap there of profit that I can realize. So I'm willing to go up to 25. Effective November 18th, if you are looking to purchase a multi-unit property, duplex, triplex, or quadplex, any property that's up to 4 units, the down payment requirement has been changed to 5% down. What's up, everybody? You're tuned in to The Throne. Of course, I'm your host, Matasha LaQuinn, the Queen Bee of Real Estate. And before we get started, you're probably looking at me wondering why I have on all this Tennessee Titans gear, seeing as how I'm from Houston, Texas. Well, my husband made me do it. Let me tell y'all what happened. If you go back a few episodes, you'll see me in some Houston Texans gear, which is one of the rival teams that my husband hates. So he's like, I cannot believe you represented the Texans today. So this is my redemption day, right? So I was in Texans the last time. So to redeem myself and keep the peace at home, I decided to wear some Tennessee gear. Plus, it wasn't too bad considering the baby blue. I like that. And then it matches my nails. So I was like, okay, not too bad. I can make that happen today. But so I'm not sure what your favorite sports team might be. And the funny part is I don't know anything about sports. I just like to dress in the gear from time to time because I think it's cute. So the only sport I really like is boxing, actually. Pretty violent. I don't know why. Why would that be my favorite sport? That's terrible. But anyway, that's my favorite sport, boxing. So anyway, moving right along, we have some pretty cool topics for you today. We're going to be talking about real estate investor resources. The investor resources that we're going to cover, because let's be clear, there's a lot of them. And so we would be here all day trying to hit on them all. So I'm going to point out 3 good ones today. And these particular resources, it doesn't matter if you are in the beginning stages as an investor, intermediate, or an expert. I'm sure that you can find this information helpful. So take whatever nugget you can and put it in your pocket if it applies to you. And if it doesn't apply to you and you think it would apply to someone else, just feel free to share and nudge them on the shoulder and have them to watch it. Maybe somebody could benefit from the information. When we talk about investor resources, oh Lordy, it's tricky because driving down real estate investing is like driving down a freeway, and you have all these different exits you can take, and depending on what exit you hop off on, you get to a different destination, right? So in Houston, we have a lot of highways. Are you going to go I-10, 59, the Hardy Toll Road, 99 Tollway? All these different highways will have you end up somewhere totally different. And so when we talk about investing, it all depends on what strategy you choose, what option you're going to go after, and where that's going to drop you off at as far as your final destination is concerned. And then it's overwhelming too, because since there's so many different investment types, you're wondering, well, where do I start? Which one should I choose? Do I start here or there? And so hopefully we'll cover something today that may help you on your journey. And maybe you're looking for the opportunity to pivot. Maybe you're doing one thing and you want to pivot into something different. And so we'll cover those things today. But we're going to be talking about the tax delinquent property auction. Right, so how to acquire properties from the tax auction sale. We're going to be talking about how to find pre-foreclosures, all the homes that are headed to foreclosure but hadn't gotten there yet. And then we're going to talk about a new, really important update in the mortgage industry that could really be a game changer for investors. So Let's talk about this tax delinquent sale first. So, whenever you have, and I'm speaking about Houston, but depending on where you are, I would imagine different jurisdictions in different counties may have this available where you are. But let's be clear, I'm just talking about Houston and Harris County right now. But if you're looking for um, properties that are going to auction due to delinquent taxes, what you want to do is you want to go to the Harris County Tax Delinquent Sales website, and it's hctax.net. Now, once you get there, you'll see all of the upcoming properties that are going to auction. The auction happens the first Tuesday of every month. And when you get on this website and you go to the list of sale properties, you will be able to see all of the properties that will be up for sale at the upcoming auction. The reason why this is important to know is because you want to have already done your research on the properties so that when you go there, you know which properties you want to bid on. What happens is, when it's the Harris County auction, we have different precincts in Harris County. So you have precinct 1, precinct 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And so all of these auctions for different precincts are going on at the same time. It's literally one big ballroom where you walk in and you have to know what properties you're bidding on, because you need to know, okay, what precinct, what section am I going to go and sit in when I get there? Maybe you have your eyes on 2 or 3 different properties and they're in different precincts. Well, that lets you know you need to take a buddy with you, because buddy number 1 may need to sit in precinct 3 section and you need to sit in precinct 1 section. And you need to have multiples on your list that you've identified just to make sure you walk away with one of them. So even if you have 3 or 4 properties on the radar that you're going to bid on, chances of you getting them all, that's not the case. You're just giving yourself options to know, all right, I got our eyes on 4 of them and I just want to walk away with one. And so the reason why looking at the list of sale properties is so important is because it'll tell you what the minimum bid amount is. I mean, if you go on there, you'll see some minimum bid amounts, $2,500 minimum bid, $5,000, $3,000. Now, the thing to note is that even though the minimum bid is set at $2,500, if the property is worth way more than that, then I'm pretty sure, there's competition there with you that will be willing to go higher than the minimum bid because they've already done their homework to know that the property is worth more. Also at the tax auction, it's not just vacant. I'm sorry, it's not just homes that are for sale. They're vacant lots too. So let's just use a vacant lot, for example. Let's say the minimum bid is $3,000, but you've already done your research and you've driven by the lot. You had a realtor to look up the value for you, and you're like, wow, the minimum bid is only $3,000, but the actual market value, this property is worth $50,000. Like, I could literally buy it at the auction and flip this vacant lot tomorrow if I wanted to, So what you would need to do is you base what the market value is. You help that to determine, you use that to determine what your highest bid amount, how high you're willing to go on your bid amount. So for example, the minimum bid is $3,000, but the property is worth $50,000. You might tell yourself, hey, I'm willing to go all the way up to $25,000. Even though they only want $3,000, I'm willing to go up to $25, because when I buy it at $25, it's worth $50. So I still have the ability. There's a $25,000 gap there of profit that I can realize. So I'm willing to go up to $25. So when the bidding on that particular address starts, and they start off with the $3,000 minimum, all right, 3, who wants to go to 4? You're bidding and you're watching the people next to you raise their hand, and you've already done your research, and you say, okay, I'm going to outbid them because I'm willing to go up to 20, or I'm willing to go up to 25. But let's say it's a property where you've done your research and you realize the minimum bid is $3,000, but it's only worth $15,000. Then of course, the amount that you're willing to go up to is going to be different. So that's why kind of doing your homework on the properties that are going to sell, and knowing what the market value of them may be before you go is really important, because that helps to guide how high or how low you're willing to bid on each property. Another thing about the tax auction is these are for investors that have the cash money. So when you go to the auction, you are required to either bring cash with you or a cashier's check or certified funds from the bank. And so the tricky part is like, well, wait a minute. How can I bring certified funds if I don't know how much I'm going to end up winning the bid for on a property? So you might bring a cashier's check for $20,000 and you ended up getting a property for $12,000. So it's like, oh, what do they do with the difference? So you'll go ahead, you'll use that certified check, that cashier's check, to buy the property, and then a few weeks later you'll receive a refund for the difference. Now, you won't get change that day, so don't expect your refund on that same day, but you will get a refund process. But it's really cool. Even if you go, just take a trip to the tax auction just as a spectator. Don't even go to bid on anything the first time around. Just go to the website, get the address and the date and the time that it's taking place, and just show up as a field trip. Walk around, see how things are being done, and maybe the second or the third time you go as an actual bidder. But it's really cool just to go and browse and watch these people bid, and just the atmosphere alone. Guys, when I tell you, I went there and literally you see people with backpacks, and you know what's in the backpacks. Like, there's cash money in these backpacks, and they're just like vibing and walking around, going to their different little sections of properties with, for the precincts of where they're going to be bidding on properties, with backpacks of cash ready to acquire property. So that's the thing too. Like, don't go and sign yourself up and register as a bidder until you're actually serious, because it gets real fast. Like, some of these people are expert bidders. Like, this is their livelihood. This is what they do. They literally go to the tax auction every month. They've identified, they have a process and a system down packed. So I will suggest that if you are interested in purchasing delinquent tax properties from the auction, definitely go as a spectator first, just so you can see what I'm talking about. But again, just having the right team behind you as well. If you're going to be buying properties from the tax auction, having a good title partner is really good. And the reason why is because a good title partner, if you shoot them the address, hey, I've identified a property that I'm thinking about bidding on in the tax auction, can you run this address for me? A tax partner can run the address and tell you, are there any more liens attached to the property? Right? Because you don't want to acquire the property in a tax auction and then you find out, oh Lord, there's a homeowners association lien or some other lien that's stacked up on the property as well, that once you acquire it at the tax auction, now you're responsible for clearing additional liens as well. So having a title partner that's willing to run searches for you, and they have different companies that provide the service as well, that's willing to run the search for you and tell you what other things you could possibly be up against if you were to purchase this property from a tax auction. So you definitely want a title partner. It also, if you're thinking about purchasing property at a tax auction, having a real estate professional, a real estate agent is really, really good and really important, because they are the ones that can help you determine the value of the property. And remember, the value is really important, because that is how you determine what you're willing to bid, how much you're willing to go up to on your bids. So you can, give the address to your real estate agent. Hey, I'm thinking about bidding on this property at the auction. Can you run this address and tell me, the minimum bid they're asking for is $5,000. Can you tell me what the value is running for on these houses over here? They can run the address and say, hey, this looks like it might be a good one. The houses are, it's valued at $90,000 or it's valued at $150,000. And so that helps you to set the bar to know what you're willing to bid on. Even having a contractor is important, because one thing to keep in mind with the tax auctions is that you don't have access to the inside. You're only able to drive by the exterior. On the website, typically they do have pictures. But that doesn't tell you what's happening on the inside of the property. There could be a huge plumbing leak. Are there holes in the wall? Does the carpet and the flooring need to be replaced? And so sometimes having a contractor on your team, just them driving by the property and trying to do like an incognito exterior inspection from the street, so to speak, an experienced contractor can tell a lot about a property by viewing the exterior. So they may be able to tell you, hey, okay, just driving by the outside, the roof is trash. Like, you're definitely going to have to replace the roof, and the property looks like it just has deferred maintenance all the way around. It looks halfway abandoned. There doesn't look like it's a lot of action or activity or TLC happening on this property. So you might be looking at about $40,000 just off the top of my head in repairs that may need to be done. And so you use that again to help determine if this property is worth bidding on or not. Is this profitable for me? Because let's say the property is minimum bid $10,000, and it's worth, the realtor tells you, oh, this property is worth $100,000. Okay, well, there's this gap there. Okay, if I got it for 10 and it's worth 100, I could possibly make $90,000. Wait a minute. You got to see what your contractor says. Did your contractor hop into the conversation and say, oh, well, off the top of my head, it looks like it needs a new roof. Like, you better be prepared to spend $40,000. Well, that takes your $90,000, deduct the $40,000 that you have to spend. Now it's a potential profit of $50,000. But then what if you have to bid more than the $10,000? What if you had to bid 20 to get the property, 30 to get the property? So that's why I say those numbers help you to determine bid amounts. And that, undeniable, very important. I personally would not bid on a tax auction property without knowing if the having a contractor to drive by. Yeah, so I personally would not bid on a tax auction property without having a contractor to drive by and give me a semi or an exterior inspection, and having a real estate agent, or in my case, I am the real estate professional, but running values to see what the actual market value of the home is before I determine if I want to bid on the property. Now, the thing about it too, there's multiple websites, and I'll share some of them with you as a treat today. But outside of the Harris County tax auction website, you have some of the law firms that represent the tax jurisdictions. A lot of them list properties that are for sale on their website too. So I'll give you two websites for the law firms that represent the tax jurisdictions that list delinquent sales that are going to auction. You have lgbs.com. So that's L as in Larry, G as in goat, B as in banana, and S as in Sam. lgbs.com. That's one of the law firms that represent the tax jurisdictions. Why can't I get that word out today? That you can find delinquent tax sale properties on. And then the next law firm website would be pbfcm.com. And that's P as in peanut, B as in banana, F like Frank, C as in cat, M as in mashed potatoes.com. So if you're looking for additional resources, you can look on those two websites, or you can go to HC as in Harris County, hctax.net. Even if you Google Harris County delinquent tax sales, the link will come up there as well. And you'll be able to go on there and see. Now, the constable's office, right, for the different precincts, they have a website where they list the properties as well. And that website is Daily Court Review, dailycourtreview.com. So those are the websites where you can go on there and you can literally look at what properties are coming up next in the tax auction, and you'll be ready to rock and roll. And the reason why this information is important is there's a lot of people and a lot of companies that take advantage of aspiring investors, people that are looking to go to the next level, people that want information and are seeking out resources. There's companies that charge you, well, if you pay us this fee and we'll give you the website. Pay us this fee and we'll give you a list of properties that are coming up in the tax auction. You don't have to pay the fee. I just gave you the website to go and find them on your own for free. Side eye those companies that are wanting to charge you a fee for obtaining information that can be found for free. The next thing to note about tax delinquent properties is the redemption period. Okay. There is what we call a right of redemption, where the family or the person, the individual that lost the property in the tax auction due to delinquent taxes, they have a period of time where they can come and redeem themselves. They can come back and pay whatever you paid for the property to get it and buy it at the tax auction. As long as they come and pay you what you paid for it, they have the right to redeem the property. And here's where it gets tricky, because if you buy a property at a tax auction today and you decide, oh, I'm going to renovate it and I'm going to flip it, you don't want to do that, because well, first of all, you can't flip it. You got to hold on to it. So you might say, well, while I wait for the redemption period, I'm going to get the paint redone. I'm going to get their new roof put on, and I'm going to get the new AC unit. And so you spend $40,000 on this property, and then right before the redemption period expires, here comes the old family or the old owner saying, hey, I'm here for my redemption period. I want the property back. And you've invested $40,000. So you paid what you bought for it at the auction, and now you've invested an additional $40,000 to fix it up. And they're not going to be required to pay for what you put into the property. They're not going to be required. They're only going to be required to pay what you bought for it. And so you would have lost at that point. And so the redemption period is, here's the notes. So the redemption period on tax delinquent properties is that if you buy a property from the tax auction where the property was somebody's homestead, meaning that it was somebody's primary residence, they lived there with their family and it was their homestead property, that family or that individual has 2 years to come and redeem and reclaim that property from you. That's a pretty long time. Now, if you happen to buy a property from the tax auction that was not somebody's homestead, maybe it was a vacant piece of land, or maybe it was someone else's investment property and you purchased it, the redemption period is not as long. They only have 180 days to redeem the property. So that's something to note too when you're searching for properties and picking which properties you're going to bid on and acquire at the tax auction. That's really important. Are you purchasing a property that was somebody's homestead, or is it a non-homestead? Because you can find yourself caught up for 2 years having to hold on to the property, giving that family the right to redeem. Okay. So take note of that. Another thing is, so when you go to the website, especially on the Harris County tax sale link, you will be able to filter your search. So, you know how I talked about there's multiple precincts happening at the same time. You know, you can filter it. You might say, all right, there are 200 properties on this list. However, I grew up in 77033, you know, and I'm interested in rebuilding or investing in that particular area because that's where grandma's house is, or that's where I grew up. You can go into the tax auction filter list and you can type in that zip code, and it will show you all of the properties that are going to tax sale in that specific zip code. Okay, so that helps you when you're trying to narrow down. It's like, oh my God, they got 200 properties. There's 10 different precincts auctioning properties off today. How do I narrow this down? You can identify tax auction properties based on zip code. You can also filter based on the minimum bid amount. Maybe you don't have a lot to work with and you're like, hey, all I got is $6,000. So I need to be looking at properties that are minimum bid amount $6,000 and below. Then you can filter by that as well. So there's ways that you can filter the list. And the thing I think that's really important is that when you first start bidding or don't get discouraged, because especially if your budget is limited, if you're limited to $5,000, $6,000, there's not a whole lot of over outbidding and raising your hand that you can do, even if you wanted to. If the property goes up and it's the minimum bid is 2,500, you have a little bitty window of how much you're able to go up to until your $5,000 budget is met. So there's plenty of chances for other people to outbid you. And in those cases, you just have to say, oh, try again next time, and that's why you also maybe identify multiple properties or multiple lots, so that if you don't win the one over in precinct 2, there is another opportunity for the lot that's up for sale in precinct 4, your buddy that you have sitting over there for you. Maybe they'll win that one because you didn't win yours. So I would just say have patience and be prepared to know that you might not win the bids, the first time around, maybe the second or third time around. But if that's your goal, keep going, keep showing up. You'll develop your own strategy behind it. You'll see how it's going, and you'll begin to, kind of say, okay, I see how this is going now. Develop your own little strategy and game plan on how you're going to tackle that. And so those are the tips that I have today for tax auction sales. The next one that I want to cover is going to be, how do you find pre-foreclosure properties? So these are properties where the families that are living in them may be behind on their mortgage, and the property is going to go to foreclosure, and you want to catch it before it goes to foreclosure to either buy this family out, right, to help save them, buy them out. And this also falls along the line of the wholesaling, which that's a whole nother process. I won't get into that, but that's a big question that a lot of people have is, hey, how do I find distressed properties? How do I find distressed homeowners, those that are anxious and willing to sell the property just to get out of it or to avoid a foreclosure? How do I find those? And again, you have these companies that are selling these lists. Hey, I'll give you a list of pre-foreclosures. No, this is public information. You can go and find it for free, and I'll tell you how. So what you want to do is you want to go to Harris County Clerk's website, not the Harris County District Clerk. Okay, there's a difference. The Harris County District Clerk is where, you have divorce cases and criminal cases in the dockets. You want to go to the Harris County Clerk's office. When you get to the website, you want to click on search records. And once you click on search records, you want to click on the foreclosures. Once you click on the foreclosures, you will see two options. You can search by the sale date, or you can search by the file date, meaning the date that the foreclosure was filed. We're looking for the sale date we're looking for a future sale date, because what we want to know is, hey, record search, show me the properties that are going to go up for foreclosure sale in December 2023. Right? Because that gives you enough time to identify the properties, reach out to the homeowner, and try to make a deal happen. Okay? Because think about it. If you look and you search by sale date and you search for September, show me what sold September. It's too late. Property's gone already. And even October, show me what's going in October. It's too late. Most likely, in my opinion, you should be looking 60 days in advance. So we're in the middle of October right now. If I were looking to see what properties were going to foreclosure sale, I would be searching for December and January, because that gives me enough time to do my research and find out what's going on and reach out to who I need to reach out to. You may be wondering, well, why is this public information? How is this even a thing? Well, before lenders and before banks foreclose on anyone, they have to give public notice. They have to give public notice that this sale is going to take place. And so by them filing the intent to foreclose on, that is the public notice. Well, a lot of families, they don't even realize that a sale date has been set. Why? You got to think about it. Most of them have been either avoiding the mail. Right? If you know that, man, I haven't paid my mortgage in a year, or I haven't paid my mortgage in 7 months, you already have this anxiety about it. You're not opening any mail notices. You don't even want to be bothered. A lot of people have already abandoned the property, may not even be living there to get the notices. And so what happens is the sale date has been set. The homeowners don't even know about it. So a lot of investors that go and access this pre-foreclosure list, you know about the sale date before the actual homeowner knows about it. And when you look up these records, you click on it, you open it up, there's literally the original promissory note is usually there, like the original deed of trust or the original whatever note that was signed by the family, even if they bought the house 10 years ago. The homeowner's name is there, the property address is there, how much the loan balance is for, you're right, the principal balance of the loan is there, and the sale date is there. You have a lot of information there to figure out, what am I going to do with this information? That is, again, where your real estate professional could come in handy, because if you pull up an address, let's say you click on one of the records, and this property is going to sell December 2023, and you say, wow, they bought this home, they got this loan back in 2010. Okay, so that was quite a bit of, maybe that was 13 years ago. Okay, so if it was 13 years ago and the loan balance back then was $100,000, you could do a little bit of math to figure out, okay, it should be much lower than that now. And so then you have your real estate professional to run comps in the area, run a value of what that property address and what that home value should be. You could do quick math on how much it should be owed versus how much it's really worth. And you can determine if that is an address that you're interested in pursuing or not. And from there, we have people that you can reach out to the homeowner. You can show up. You can leave a note on the door. Hey, I have access from your court records that a sale is going to take place on December the 3rd. I'm here as a representative to help you figure this out. Please give me a call. And if that homeowner is still living there and they've already been avoiding the mailbox and they see something on their door specifically that's saying, hey, y'all have a sale date on December 3rd, but if you contact me, I can possibly help you figure this out before then. I don't know. The chances of them contacting you may be pretty great. And you never know what the situation is. It may be a situation where maybe they're just behind $8,000. So at that point, maybe you just need to save them from the delinquency. And I won't get into the steps of what to do next, because y'all can contact me for that. That'll take us into a whole nother section for a whole nother 30 minutes. But that is where the beginning of that process starts. Also the beginning of what we know to be the wholesale process. You've identified a distressed homeowner, a distressed situation, and you've caught a property before it's going to foreclosure to try to see what kind of deals can be worked out. That is where the magic happens. What one misconception is about the pre-foreclosure list is that you'll have investors that, that'll say, hey, I want you to find a property. I want to invest in something. Find me a property. And then the real estate agent goes to HAR.com, which is the Houston Association of Realtors website, and they start trying to find investment deals. That's not where the investment deals are, because number one, by the time a property usually makes it to HAR, you're paying retail for the property. Okay. You're not at the outlet anymore. You're paying what it's worth. And the chances are, if a property was discounted or was brought down to a very low price and listed on HAR, by the time you find out about it, you and 20 other people are bidding against the same property. So the property that was listed as a really good deal is no longer a good deal anymore, because maybe it was listed for $150 and somebody's discovered it and it's like, what? This property is only listed for $150, and they know it's worth more than that. You have people that are willing to bid and put offers in at $180, $190, $200. And so that's no longer a deal. If you have to look on the retail market and compete against 12 and 20 other investors that have also identified, or their realtors have identified the same addresses, that's not a deal anymore. So having access to the pre-foreclosure list and knowing how to properly search, how to pull the records, to gain that insight and to reach out to homeowners directly before the foreclosure sale happens, that is like a magic wand. But I will say this: if this is the route that you want to go, you got to be serious about it, because what happens is you got to think about the thousands of people, that have these loans, and or the hundreds of people that may be going to foreclosure sale in December. And so you have all these different lenders that have to put up public notice. So today, there may be 12 lenders that had to upload or file foreclosure proceedings. And then tomorrow, there may be 20 filings. The day after that, there may be 8 more. The day after that, 3 more. And so this trickles in every single day of the month. New filings are happening. So if you don't stay on top of it every day to monitor the new filings, what will happen is you'll get behind where, for example, if you catch, let's say you're looking for October. Well, we're already 19, 20 days. I guess 19 days. We're already 19 days into October. So if you try to find out, show me everything that's been filed for October, it's going to pull up like 270 records. Why? Because every single day of October, new filings have taken place. You're just now looking today on the 19th. So now you have to comb through 270 records. That's overwhelming. Whereas if you catch it at the beginning of the month, it's much easier to manage the 5 new ones that were posted today. And then the new 10 addresses that may be posted tomorrow. And then the next day, the 3 that are posted on that day. It's much easier to manage them in small groups when you're looking at the site daily versus going and trying to start in the middle of the month and get them all. Because now, oh crap, I got to comb through 300 different records. So you have to commit to it and say, okay, a part of my daily plan is that every morning or every evening, I'm going to check this pre-foreclosure website to see if any new filings happen today. That is the only way, or one of the only ways, to really manage it, in my opinion. So again, you want to just type in Harris County Clerk's Office, go to search records, click on foreclosures, and there is where you'll be able to click on the sale date and search for properties that are going to go to sell in an upcoming foreclosure auction. And that is how you're able to contact the homeowners and save them from potential foreclosure, and to also create an investment property for yourself. All right, now moving on to my last announcement, and this one is a pretty big one. This one is a game changer. So effective November 18th of this year, Fannie Mae has announced that if you are looking to purchase a multi-unit property, whether it's duplex, triplex, or quadplex, so units up to 4 units, properties up to 4 units, okay? So I'm going to repeat that. Effective November 18th, if you are looking to purchase a multi-unit property, duplex, triplex, or quadplex, any property that's up to 4 units, the down payment requirement has been changed to 5% down. Okay. This is huge because typically, like just recently before the change, we're talking 20%, 25% down payment requirement. So if we think about this, if we're thinking about a duplex at $500,000 with the new down payment requirement of only 5%, that is $25,000 down versus the old requirement. If the old requirement wanted 25% down, you got to come up with $125,000. That can be a game changer for some people. Some people have that kind of money in a 401k or savings account, or you can borrow it from friends or family, or you can team up with somebody and partner together. But reducing that down payment requirement to 5% on a multi-unit versus the 25% is pretty major. What that allows you to do, especially if you're going to purchase it and live in one of the units as your primary residence, okay, that's the key. Live in one side for 12 months. You are able to acquire this property at 5% down versus 25% down. And listen, people, that eliminates a whole lot of excuses, and it gets you in the game much quicker. It takes you much longer to try to come up with 25% of a $500,000 property instead of 5% down. So that's something to note. Now, we will know a little bit more here as the program becomes effective, one of the things that we're wondering and we don't quite know yet is what the reserve requirements will be. The reserve requirements basically mean like, hey, we'll allow you to come up with this lower down payment amount, but will we require you to show more money in the bank as reserves. So for an example, let's say the monthly note on this is $3,000, and they say, okay, we're going to require 4 months of reserves. Well, $3,000 of the payment times 4 months in reserves means that they want to see $12,000 sitting in the bank as reserves. So basically, if something were to happen, or you were to lose a job, or one of the units were no longer occupied, you show that you have the money sitting in the bank account as a reserve to be able to make the payment in the event of an emergency. And so that's the only thing we don't know yet. So they have reduced the down payment requirement. What we are waiting to know is what are the reserve requirements, if any. So just wanted to leave you with that. I hope that something that was said today, would strike your interest. There's a lot of information out there. You just got to pull out that laptop or your phone and stop scrolling TikTok and start Googling some important stuff. I know I also spit out a lot of different websites. So if you're having trouble locating the website, or the link isn't working, or whatever the case may be, feel free to reach out, drop us a message or a comment, and put on there that you would need access, or you would like a copy of the links that were mentioned here today, and I'll be sure to get those out to you. And so you don't want to miss our next episode, because this episode was dedicated to the investors, and the next episode I think we might just dedicate it to home buyer resources, right? Because I know interest rates are up and people are scared, and you have all the excuses as to why it's not a good time to buy, but there's some pretty cool things going on for home buyers too. So we haven't forgot about you. But as always, you've been listening to The Throne, and I'm your host, Matasha LaQuinn, the Queen Bee of Real Estate, and I'll check you later.